Are you coming across? Are we coming across?
I am out here and I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Q, we got President's Day coming up here next Monday.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, President Abraham Lincoln. You know, today is his birthday, right? Abraham Lincoln was born in Hardin County, Kentucky on February 12th in 1809. And you know, there was a time that we actually had a day to celebrate Abraham Lincoln, and matter of fact, George Washington. We don't have those days anymore.
No.
Right.
It's now called President's Day.
Yeah, these people were the founders of this country. This has been the most phenomenal experiment known to humankind here. We have, with our ups and downs, mistakes and brilliances, we have helped support and promote democracy and liberty and freedom around the globe. These two, Q, you make a good point. It ought to be something more than just lump them all together day.
Yep, and you know, if you take a look, there are only two people that we recognize in a holiday in this country anymore. And none of them are presidents.
Okay, one of them is Jim Winston Day.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed that one. That must be on, that one's what, on July 32nd, isn't it?
Well, I thought that was... Well, okay, it's more popularly known as April Fool's Day. Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah, and then of course they celebrated Jim Winston's Day twice a year because it is so momentous, and it's also the other one is kind of more commonly known as Halloween.
Oh, I thought I had that one too.
Okay, well we can argue.
That's a good day. Halloween's a good day.
But George Washington served this country, took on the English army, never had the resources to win one battle, but at the end of 4 years or whatever it was, won the war.
Yep.
And then when they wanted to make him King George because of what he did, he says no. He went back to his plantation there and said, I served my country, I did my job, and now it's time for Congress and Parliament to put a constitution together, et cetera, et cetera. He refused to be a king.
That's right. And matter of fact, you know, that's why we left England to get rid of the kings and queens and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but after doing what he did, let's face it, the average human being, the power would go to his head. The adulations would go to his head, and he, just like the Lord of the Rings, as soon as you get around that ring, that's it. You're power crazed. But
isn't it sad that we have so many quote unquote leaders with that exact same problem?
They simply won't go. It's Q. Have you ever heard my joke on that? It's a takeoff on Lyndon Johnson when they pushed him out of office. Public opinion. It's if nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. If impeached, I will not resign. That's the best way I have to sum up whether you crave power or not. Once you have that power, it's self-craving. It creates the disease itself.
Well, you know, I agree and disagree. It depends on how much of it you allow it to influence us. I mean, we all have certain urges. And because we are men, we tend not to follow up on certain urges, and I think power can be the same way. It's the same thing like everybody blames everything on everybody else. You know, take some responsibility, you can deal with it.
Well said.
I mean, how did George Washington, Abe Lincoln, and all those people deal with all this new power? I think the first thing they did is they decided not to be career politicians. That will keep the job no matter how much they screw up.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
I think they lose it when it comes from them serving the people to them serving their next needs. And this is the problem we really have in this country nowadays with the leadership.
The most important thing is a concept called I'm not a U.S. Senator. I'm not somebody great. I am here to serve. It's a different mindset.
And then they spend, out of a 4-year term, they spend 2 years running for another term at your expense.
Yeah.
Okay?
And you'd like to do
if
it.
you hired someone and they spend half the time of their job looking for another job. Yeah, I wouldn't take that very long. They'd be gone.
In my opinion, they would be too.
So,
Yeah.
anyhow, are you guys familiar with the Honor Flight Project?
I'm not sure. What's the name of that again?
Honor Flight?
Honor Flight.
HONOR, Flight, FLIGHT.
I've heard it, but it's slipping my mind. Can you?
Well, okay. Our infamous government took over 60 years to build that World War II memorial in D.C. They waited until, 80% of our World War II men and women were dead.
Yeah.
All right? Most of them that are still alive are too frail or too poor to go to Washington, D.C. if they so desire and visit it.
Right. Now I remember. Go
A
ahead.
few years back, someone started a project called the Honor Flight, and it originates from various states and counties. What they do is they round up some World War II guys, they send them to D.C. for the weekend to visit the memorial. And, and they have escorts with them because, some of them have certain needs. They have escorts with them that go on the flight. And, this year, once again, there will be flights going out. Now, one of the guys that's been elected to go on a flight finally this year, and he's going on a May 14th flight out of, it's going to leave Portland on the 14th. Hey, that's a good place to be if you have, to come and cheer these guys on when they take off for that flight on May 14th.
Oh,
But,
okay.
one of the guys is one of the elves that works for Boeing, who's been on the side, been making toys for over 30 years, and giving it to poor families, giving it to military kids, and et cetera, et cetera. So and he's over 90 years old. This will be his first opportunity to go. He couldn't go when his wife was still alive. She died recently.
Oh.
Anyhow, so this year, I plan to also go to Washington, D.C., and I want to be there when a flight comes in and photograph these men and women visiting the wall, visiting the memorial for the first time.
From an honor flight. Oh my!
Right.
Now those will be photographs for the ages.
Yes, they will be.
Over the years, there are a lot of pictures out there, but anyone that knows me knows that, I'm not better than anyone. I just shoot differently.
Yes.
I tell my stories differently in pictures.
You're going to take
That'd be a good
pictures.
thing. So right now I'm waiting to see if I can raise the money to get there. D.C. in May is real expensive. To look at the price of hotels in May in D.C. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
So anyone that wants to help on that can visit my website, IraqWarHeroes.org. It's just click on the help me link there.
Yeah. Now I understand you have a nonprofit going. Is that not correct?
No. You see, I can't have a nonprofit because I'm one individual that's doing all of this.
I see. Okay. Information.
The only thing people can expect in return from me is me continuing to do what I'm doing, and mostly that is going to veterans' funerals and KIA funerals. And I photograph them free for the families. And I document them on the website and have tributes out there that have no ads on them. My website's,
Harold, we need the website again.
Yeah, let's get the website again. Go ahead, Q.
My main project is IraqWarHeroes.org. And the main page that takes you to all my other war sites, including that one, is OurWarHeroes.org. O-U-R. War, W-A-R, Heroes, Heroes.org.
Is there any way that somebody could, if they needed to, that they could funnel the airport money to you?
Well, we got to be careful about trying to raise money here.
I know.
Yeah, but what we can say is information is available about what Q does,
Yeah.
At the website, IraqWarHeroes.org, ourwarheroes.org. Yeah, Q, go ahead. Flesh this out a little bit more, please.
So anyhow, I'm going to concentrate on following one specific World War II vet, which will be one of the Boeing elves, but it'll be inclusive with everyone else there. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
He's going to be my main target. And and I have not been there either since they built it. The last time I was in D.C., I don't know, it was in the mid-'90s. I quit smoking then.
Oh.
Good for you.
Yes, very good, very good. And also the sheer age of
veterans.
These veterans. I think D-Day was like 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to funerals of at least 20 World War II vets within the last few weeks.
Oh,
and one of them was someone I knew, neighbor of mine, and I've got another one right now in hospice. He's not going to be able to get on no trip. But they're dying. They're dying off fast. I mean, we've got vets from the Korean War and Vietnam War starting to drop left and right.
Oh yeah.
And this is why I always say that. Look, if you got a veteran in your household, especially them older ones, document their stories, talk to them. Make copies of the pictures and things. Help preserve. They're the ones who were in front of when history was happening. Okay, If you talk to a politician, history happened a different way. But there are a lot of these men and women who were right there when things were happening. And, listening to their stories, documenting their stories is much more real than, that other stuff they're feeding us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and these are the people who stepped forward to serve their country, and they had no input basically with respect to decisions or choice or how it's going to be done. They just step forward. The country is in need. There's fascism, warmongering, totalitarian states, expansionary states all over the globe.
Germany.
Something has to be done, and they just simply step forward to serve.
Correct. And I do have to say also that many were drafted, but you know what? They didn't argue it. They knew they had to. Matter of fact, I think, especially with the World War II generation, I think a lot of them were standing there before the draft paper even made it to the House.
Well, my understanding, Q, on that point was that on December 8th, 1941, one day after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, there was a long line.
There was
in front of the
even though we had the draft, there was still a long line there.
Yeah, I know.
We tend to forget the sacrifice that these people make. They sign up, and all right, maybe they're going to be a desk sergeant in Dunkirk or something. But maybe they're going to see horrific horrors. Pardon the redundancy. Just deprivations that are you just hard to speak about, let alone endure. And they're doing it so that we can be here and enjoy these freedoms. We can read the disclaimer, and as long as we use family language and a few other niceties, we can say whatever opinion we want, and we don't have to worry about the little men in green suits or whatever you want to call them taking us away at 3 a.m.
Well, I'm hoping that America doesn't fall asleep. It's been snoozing. Now I'm speaking to the American people. I think they've been snoozing too much, because I tell you what, in the hindsight, I see a lot of those things that they fought for disappearing. It isn't blatantly obvious, but if you look deep enough, then, What's going on here? People need to get up and, the way to support what these men and women have done for us, one of the biggest ways to support what they've done for us and fought for us is to get up, get educated, and vote.
Now, can you give us any specifics at all as to what's disappeared? That would be nice. I'd like to hear that.
So what's your take on it, Q?
Well, one of my favorite topics is gun control.
Okay.
And, I tell you the way it's slowly disappearing. It's all these little regulations, not blatantly saying, no, you can't, but you can't do this, 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 can't do this.
Okay.
And eventually you find yourself walking along and say, wait a minute, I can't protect myself anymore.
It's like in New York, New York City, you couldn't buy a large drink because it was too big.
Yeah, but you know what? There are people like me that says, can I get a little cup with a free refill? And then I'll just stand at that soda fountain machine.
There you go.
On the gun issue, I don't think you can. I'm not sure on the following. I should check it out, but I don't believe you can take a gun on public transportation. Is that?
And I don't.
Well, it depends on how you do it, but yes, actually, I think you can.
You can. Okay.
Now,
if you have a permit for that.
If you go to a national park, though, can you or can you not take a gun with you, even if you have a concealed license?
That varies now, and I'm confused about that myself right now. I'm not positive on what you can and can't do on a public park or national park.
National park. So
but you see, I would think if I were the Supreme Court people, I would say, hey, wait a minute. We have like wild animals out there like bears and all this stuff. I think that you should be able to protect yourself.
Well, they've brought back grizzly bears.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, if there was any hide nor hair of a grizzly being where you were hiking or mountaineering or backpacking, you just hightailed it. That's it. Your trip was over. You got out of that area until somebody did something about that.
There's
an old saying, a gun in hand is better than 911 on the phone.
It is. You're right.
The views and opinions.
I'm sure I'm offending a lot of people out there, but it's another tool, and this country grew up with tools like that.
And that's what it needs to stay, as a tool. Because really, bottom line, Q, it is a tool. You're right.
It is, and the thing is, they've turned it so perversive that, do not let your child see a gun. Why not? Why let you, and hey,
if they know
somebody gets cut up, I'm always wondering, why are we still allowed to have knives?
If they know the rules of safety, they should be allowed.
And if they know the purpose of it.
Yes.
It's a tool.
It is.
It's a tool to help protect yourself. And it's a lot more convenient than carrying bow and arrows, because when you carry those, then you really got a lot of people freaking out. Especially when you get a nice, strong crossbow, carry that over your backside, people are like, much better to, pack something under your jacket.
I always wonder about just plain self-defense. There are people on the street that are mean, nasty, big, and strong.
Well,
yes, and we all know that those people follow all the laws.
Yeah.
Well,
criminals they don't follow the law.
But
if they can have a gun, they'll take it.
And
they will use whatever means they seem fit to disrupt your life, to destroy your property, to kill your family.
Yep.
I am sympathetic to I'm sympathetic to, we're human, we get angry, we do things in the heat of the moment.
That's why
I'm sympathetic to that, but
it needs to be a tool. If it's a tool and people understand it's a tool, and it's very important, it is, in a lot of ways. But if it's a tool
have
and
you
they
gotten so angry that you wanted to do the Bart Simpson on someone, but you kept yourself under control?
exactly because they knew what it meant. They knew it was a tool.
You know. Jim, did you understand that reference?
Hit me with that again, because sometimes I'm just a little too dense.
Yeah, you know what Homer Simpson does to Bart?
Well, he spanks him on the.
He chokes him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't. What, he chokes him?
He
But
does.
it's spanking, that's no big deal. But anyhow, it's the choking thing I was referring to.
Okay, I haven't watched. I'm remiss here as a talk show host. I haven't been watching enough of The Simpsons.
Yeah, I actually stopped watching The Simpsons just because of the violence that's in it.
Oh dear.
You know, interesting when you're saying that. All the early cartoons that were shown in this country were all intended for adults, and they were all violent. And matter of fact, some of them were quite adult, shall we say.
The problem, Q, is there are so many children that watch it, and it embeds that imprint on their brain on what they believe is right from wrong.
But whose fault is that?
The media.
The parents.
The media.
Well,
No, the parents.
yeah.
The
Who's
parents can control what goes on in the household if they wish to.
I remember an episode of The Simpsons where they said, "Oh, gee, we're going to need a babysitter here to. We'd like to do that. We'll need a babysitter," and then the next scene is Homer Simpson's wife turning the knob on the TV on.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, TV as a babysitter has been around, since black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I remember when Swanson came out with, the little tray dinners.
Yeah.
Well, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'll tell you what. I didn't have to eat sandwiches. I could actually have divided food that was hot and good.
Yeah, I remember when Sony came out with the first color TV.
Well, my view has always been that TV is no good for you, but color TV actually causes brain damage.
It can.
Once again,
If you
though,
don't watch
I
the appropriate
totally
shows, it
understand.
can.
Go ahead, Q. Go ahead.
It's the responsibility of the parents.
Yeah.
You've got parents out there working 2 jobs so they can provide their children with cell phones, television, electric this, electric that. Well, maybe cancel one of those jobs and not buy all those things. Save that money. You can stay home and actually teach your kids, love your kids, play with your kids. That's coming from a guy that doesn't like kids.
Yeah, we've had many people on our show here, Fathers, Mothers, and Family show, and they will say that children spell love T-I-M-E, time.
Yeah.
Time with mom, time with dad, time with family members.
Basically, you're right.
First and foremost.
Yep.
Q, if everybody took your advice and said, wait a minute, the parent can determine what the children are watching. If everybody did that starting tomorrow morning, there would be such a need for more commercial-free children's programming that a week later, Congress would pass a bill dedicating 10 cable channels for nothing but non-commercial children's programming.
Like
that would be nice.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, Q.
Instead, when you watch children's programming, because I actually need to land on those channels every now and then, you see them advertising everything that will rot them.
Interesting. Some
good
Ron,
thoughts here.
Yeah, Ron, did you want to jump in on this?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I'll let Q run with it.
Yeah.
Hey, shall we cover Valentine's Day real quick?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Valentine's Day, what a farce! Why do you need some big company that makes all this, chocolates and everything else? Why do you need those people to tell you, well, today you need to spend at least an average of $148 or else you ain't getting none? If you love somebody, shouldn't you be nice to them most of the year, if not all of the year.
You know, if we didn't have Valentine's Day, perhaps we'd make more of an effort to be decent to our loved ones of all types and stripes during the other 364 days.
What a thought, huh?
Maybe.
Instead of buying 30 dozen roses on Valentine's Day, how about a rose every week?
Yeah. How about a smile, a hug, a touch, whatever, holding hands, a few more times each day.
You know.
Yeah.
But hey.
Q, I really appreciate your being on the show. We got a few more minutes. A couple more thoughts, or you want to catch your breath while we play a couple of announcements? What?
Well, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You want me to wait or go?
Why don't you hold on about 2 minutes?
I'll hold on till you make your announcement.
Yeah, and
Sure.
you catch your breath, and we'll get some final thoughts.
Please.
We're here with Q Mampe. We've got a couple of announcements here, and we'll be right back.
Sparkling wines and champagne are also all-purpose wines. They go with just about everything, from breakfast to after dinner.
Sit back, relax, make sure your ice trays are full, your cell phone is off, and you have nothing to do until tomorrow afternoon. Because it's cocktail hour with Gin Madness.
Thursdays from 7 to 8 p.m.
This hour of programming on KPSU was made possible in part by Spot Magazine, a free monthly magazine for those who love and care for pets. Our motto is everything pets. Spot Magazine can be found at pet-related businesses and libraries. Pet-related submissions are welcome. SpotMagazine.net.
Do you know computers and today's most popular technologies? Do you have a positive professional attitude and experience in customer service? The OIT Help Desk is hiring. The Help Desk technician is the primary point of contact responsible for providing information technology services and basic to intermediate technical assistance to the PSU community. To apply, visit Career Connect and search for Job ID 9024 to submit your resume and cover letter. We can't wait to meet you.
Do you feel too tired to make it through class alive? Are midterms and finals stealing your sleep? With 5 locations in Portland today, Stumptown has been serving the community with directly traded and locally roasted coffee since 1999, bringing the tastes of coffee beans from around the world to your backyard. For more information on their coffee and brewing techniques, visit stumptowncoffee.com. KPSU is brought to you in part by the PSU Bike Hub. A Bike Hub membership is only available to PSU students and faculty, where you get access to their tools and equipment, and they'll help you work on your bike. Of course, they also offer numerous free workshops and clinics. They sell bike accessories, they offer lock removal, secure bike parking permits, bike loans, and of course, professional service and repair.
Bicycle, bicycle, I want to ride my bicycle.
We're here. We're back. This is the Fathers, Mothers, and Family Show. Q Mampe, are you out there? Can you hear us? Are we coming across?
Yes, and you know what? I was just thinking before I get to the next thing. Shame on you, Brian Williams, and the rest of you morons out there that are constantly using our military to up yourself, to promote yourself, fabricate the stories. People are a disgrace. You're taking away the valor of the men and women that have actually done something, are out there fighting and dying for you. Your excuses, I don't buy them. So, on a side note, no matter what anybody says, we still have troops in Iraq. Matter of fact, we've got at least 1,500, and I don't care what somebody wants to label them. There still are men and women over there. And currently I have 7,039 names on my wall here at IraqWarHeroes.org of men and women that served in Iraq and or Afghanistan and have since deceased.
Hey, Q.
Go ahead.
In 2000, when they had the election in 2008, I voted for McCain and I voted for Palin because I thought they would have an idea of what to do and how to keep it under control.
Q.
Well, Okay, my next statement I'm not going to make because it. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll get censored. But anyhow,
Okay.
all I can say is that a certain leader doesn't have something, and it looks like somebody's going to come in that has the other part of it, and I'm not for it at all. I think next election is going to be real scary.
It's going. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one.
Yep.
Yeah.
ISIS is here.
Yeah, and it's so easy to try to for media people or politicians to talk about their incredible war experience or near war experiences here. It's so easy to make this stuff up.
Yeah.
It's much harder, Q, to say something like, well, I was learning how to use my slide rule in college when other people were out there actually making the world safe for freedom, democracy, and liberty. It's a lot harder to say that.
So my Valentine's message, don't get any VD, but hey, if you like someone, if you love someone, let them know because tomorrow may be too late.
Okay, so in family language, that would be safe sex, and make sure you let your loved ones know how much you appreciate them and that you love them.
Yes.
Well said.
I agree.
Well said. Ron, chip in on that one.
For Valentine's Day, just the people that you love that are very important to you, let them know it. I agree.
And Q, any advice for me? I've had some wild ups and downs with the family. And you know me. I swear I'll never forgive and I'll never forget. Any thoughts for someone like me?
When you do, okay. Sometimes you got to put certain people on ignore.
Okay.
Let them know. Well, sometimes you just got to put them on ignore. But the thing though is, when you allow other people to take you up and down, you're only going to age yourself. You're going to weaken yourself. You got to just because somebody's family, me, a non-family person says this, just because somebody's family doesn't mean they're friends. Don't feel obligated to family or people of the family or relatives. Don't feel obligated to them. If you don't like them, why harass yourself? I mean...
Okay.
Biological, right?
Yeah, and your anger toward them, some of them do it just to make you angry or whatever. Think about what it does to you, though. And, ultimately, when people say, well, that's an insult, it says, well, your interpretation can make that an insult, or your interpretation of something is how you're going to respond to it. If it's a good thing, a bad thing, whatever,
Well,
Yeah, I get name calling all the time, and I'm like, it flies right over my head.
Well, no matter what insult that people can give you, in a way it is a choice, because you could say, that's quite a good joke. You can say, Jim, you worthless, I could, that brightens up my day when I hear a good joke.
I like that idea, Jim.
Go ahead, Q. We missed that one.
When I was in boot camp, way back then, the drill sergeants could still say bad things to you.
Yes.
So he would say something bad about my mother, and I would look at him and say, I'm so glad someone knew her. Well, give me another 50.
Oh, boy, give me another 50.
Well, that's what he would tell me.
Oh, boy.
Because, it didn't affect me. I don't care what you say about my mother and whoever. I don't know them, so... it doesn't matter to me.
To them, it would be like insubordination.
I'm so glad.
That aggravates people like that. So
I'm so glad I finally met someone who actually knew her.
Yeah.
Ooh, that.
As a humdinger.
Yeah, that's, and I was going to add something about a financial perspective there, but not on the radio show. As in how the guy knew her.
I know your time's almost up, but check out IraqWarHeroes.org. Check out some of the work I do.
Okay.
It's sincere, it's upfront, and it's getting done.
Yeah.
I hope you make it to Washington, D.C. I'd love to see those pictures.
I hope so, too. I would Yeah, I'd really like to photograph that memorial and also the men and women that are going to be going there.
Yeah. And if it looks,
it won't be all of them. It'll be just the ones for this particular run. But yeah.
Yeah, and Q, if and when this congeals and takes place and solidifies, crystallizes, we'd love to have you, even for 5 or 10, 15 minutes on the radio show before and or after.
Immediately after would be perfect, from my opinion.
There will be pictures.
Yeah,
that would be wonderful. I'd like to see them.
Well, if
you go to ourwarheroes.org and click on the World War II link, check out some of the pictures I took for the Admiral Nimitz dedication. Check out some of the pictures I took of a couple of cemeteries over in Belgium.
Yeah, and these are honor flights. Those 60 years after the fact, they finally got a World War II memorial, and some of the people can only go there with financial help and caregiving help.
Yes.
Q Madp, thank you for the work that you are doing, and thank you for being part of our show here. I know you shoot from the hip. Thank you for squeezing it into family language. We really appreciate. Please come back on our show.
Yeah, someday I'll get an award for not cursing. Hey, you guys have a good night, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Q. Q Madp, IraqWarHeroes.org. Ron, a final thought here before we head out.